pyramids are like the seats of the creation. So actually, when we talk about pyramids, we shouldn't see just the upper part. We have to see also that they were built in places with water under. So the water represents the opposite side. So pyramid, the name pyramid means fire, pyros. So it's like fire and the water that creates the two aspects of the self, which is the seed of creation. And if you see all the geometry of the universe, icosahedron, dodecahedron, hexahedron, and the both tetrahedrons in the center, what you find in the core of it is an octahedron. The octahedron is like two pyramids, one above and one below, and they represent the core, the system, the core of the system of the entire geometry in the existence. So basically, the reason why people started to create the pyramids was to communicate with the divine, because they knew not only that they would connect with the heaven, but also to the core of God. And this is why the Atlantean civilization started to design the pyramids with chambers inside in order for them to be able to sit inside and connect with the entire universe. All the pyramids around the world create like a pattern, like a net of connection that that opens portals for each one of the constellations that are in the sky. So basically, there are specific pyramids related to a specific constellation and specific information. So they all were connected in the same network. Now they are all separated, but before it was the way they had to communicate. It was like the internet of that time. So whatever someone uploaded in one of the pyramids, they could also hear it when they were meditating in other pyramids. It was a net of communication. The pyramids are maybe 20% functioning today. They don't actually have the same abilities that they have before because they are broken. People with an awareness inside not making noises, destroying the shape of it. So they were broken throughout wars, forgotten. Also because they were aligned with the North Pole, and the North Pole has been moving along. Also, the time when the pyramids were built, the physical North Pole was pointing into another direction, and now it's pointing into a different star, which is Polaris. So, because it's not the same position, it also, the magnetic field is not in the same position, so it's not powerful enough. And because nobody has been updating the system, and most of the places where are pyramids, you're not allowed to do that because they are just archaeological sites, so you're not supposed to do anything. So it's like all machines that are not connected, but when you use them once and again, and a lot of people goes once and again, they can amplify part of that information. I wasn't present during the construction of the pyramids, but I know that they were built with sound. So the architects at that time, they designed the whole project by creating roads along the, in the case of Egypt, through the Nile, and they were bringing the stones by cutting them with water in the south, and then bringing them with pillars of vibration. So they were accommodating them with a specific like ultrasonic that created like a vacuum of vibration in the stones, and they vibrated so high that actually they were not heavy. They were like very easy to move. The perfection in which they were built shows you that, of course, in Atlantean times there were not slaves. So everyone involved in the construction was a specific architect. There were not slaves. There were no people with no awareness working on the pyramid because it's precise in every millimeter. So it was not, there were not slaves in the constructions, but also no spaceships. Like some people think that aliens helped to build it, but actually the only aliens that were close by, they were just given tools to know how to construct some parts of it, but it was not like levitating stones with spaceships. It were people with the knowledge of knowing how to use frequency, vibration, in order to move the structures. We call sacred geometry to the geometry that has a specific pattern that we can analyze like pure. Actually, all the geometry is basically sacred because the geometry is the one that creates everything that exists. So all the patterns that are in nature are sacred. But when we find the specific patterns that give us a pure image of the geometry and how the fractalization of it creates depth, so we suddenly find portals towards other dimensions and time and space. So we call it sacred because it enables us to find ways to communicate with other dimensions, and it gives us data, information that usually in the nature we cannot see. Channeling is basically to be a channel, a canal, from where one thing that is in one side goes to the outside, which means that everything that has been designed by polarity is a channel, and we are polar beings. Everything that has a positive and a negative is channeling, because otherwise we'd be dead. So we have a head that goes up, so we are positive, and our feet and root chakra is heading down, so it's negative. So we are absorbing or discharging negative energy to the ground and the positive to the sky, which means that we are channeling all the time, like if we are radio stations. So every living being is a channeler by nature. We channel statics, we channel emotions, we channel thoughts, ideas, the weather, the humidity, the statics of the thunderstorm. We are constantly channeling things, but we don't pay attention to those channels because they are imperceptible. And we usually tend to say that there are people that channel because we are talking about people that are able to channel beings or to receive messages from other dimensions, but that's not only channeling. You can channel every day just by opening yourself to receive, and sometimes you are going to open yourself to receive information from a tree, and it doesn't have to be a fifth-dimensional master or someone that speaks through you. This is because some people are able to channel specifically from other dimensions, but there are some people that are specifically designed to channel emotions. So the empath, for example. So to be an empath is also to be a channeler. You can feel the emotions of others. You can channel the conflicts of others, to understand what is in the pattern of energy. So we are actually all channelers in different levels. And we can all learn how to use that, because usually we can get lost in the channeling and we can be hurt by others' emotions or by other beings in other dimensions. So basically, in order to be a channeler, what we have to do is to have our center very wide open. And because we are mammals and we try to survive, biologically trying to survive all the time, what we usually do, or tend to do, is to protect ourselves from the outer side, from other people, from the animals, from the weather. So this also happens emotionally and energetically, that we close our system, so every chakra gets closer. And one of the things that happen when we close it, or one of the reasons why it happens, is because we feel something can kill us or something can hurt us. And that's why traumas, conflicts, um, low emotions usually block the chakras. So when we have those chakras blocked because of stuff that could have happened or traumas or wounds, so what happened is that the channel is not clean, and we are protecting ourselves from concepts or personality. And in order to channel, what we have to do is to allow ourselves to get um, get passed through. Like when you channel, you don't have to receive something and keep it. You have to be like a tree when a lightning comes from the sky and goes down to the earth. So that's the way in which we usually channel. That energy doesn't belong to us. We are just a portal for it to go to the ground and discharge the magnetical field and the statics of it. So in order to open yourself to channel, you have to have all the center very clean. Otherwise, if you have one of the chakras closed, it means that that energy will go through, but will get stuck. And it can hurt you or confuse you because it's not your own energy. So what I would recommend for the practice of channeling is not to channel high beings, but to try to perceive the emotions of others, to be open to the ideas of others. That's also channeling. To be not to be close to your own way of doing things, but to be open to receive other feelings, other emotions, other ideas, and also hugging a tree and feeling the channel that a tree has inside. Feeling the statics in nature, touching the ground, feeling how you're connected to it. So that's also a starting process of channeling. Yeah, Atlantis is basically the civilization that I remember. Not because I've lived in the capital, but because I was part of one of the colonies. We used to call Atlantis Hephaestion, and our culture was Chem. So the civilization was kind of very similar. So we have the same traditions and everything. And this civilization for me is the most important for our history, basically because what they discover, what they did, it shaped the idea of all the rest of the cultures in the world. Maybe not all of them. For some native people, they didn't. But the Atlantean culture started 15,000 years ago, during the glaciation. And during that period, most of the people were living very close by or somehow connected. Just a few people were disconnected from the Atlantic civilization that has been spreading around the world. Just maybe some in South America and some in Australia were the only ones that really were disconnected from what was happening in Atlantis. So because of that, most of the culture of the civilization have been spread at least in a 1% in the origins of all the rest of the cultures, languages, traditions, buildings, everything. So today, this civilization is very important for us because it's the root, the mother of all the rest, the mother of all our traditions, the mother of all our beliefs, our ideas on how to rule the planet. And even if it changed a lot on how things were done in that time, the essence of it is basically the same. And today, actually, is very concrete the relationship we have with that civilization, because if you take a look into the cycle of the planet, it takes almost 24,000 years for the Earth to make a whole cycle of equinoxes. So you have to picture it like if it's a clock. So 24 hours, 24 degrees for the North Pole to make the whole turn. So it takes 24,000 years approximately to do the whole turn, which means that every 12,000 years you are reflected in the history. The Atlantic civilization ended 12,000 years ago, which means that we are in the reflection of it. Atlantis was a civilization that started during the Virgo era, and our civilization today is finishing the Pisces era, which is a reflection of Virgo Pisces, and we are starting the age of Aquarius, and they were starting the age of Leo. So we are exactly in the same alignment in the other side of the circle. We are exactly aligned with the moment of when Atlantis ended.